How can project teams visualize float and critical path in a simple, field-friendly way? Critical path and float are two of the most talked about concepts in scheduling, and two of the least useful on most job sites. Not because they don't matter, but because they're usually presented in a way the field can't act on. If you peel back a layer deeper, I think they're really asking for something else. How do we make schedule risk visible early enough so that crews can protect the plan without needing a scheduling degree? Hey, I'm Mike, a builder and innovator who has worked as a designer, subcontractor, GC, and owner, and now I run the customer success team at Outbuild. Here's the common setup. The CPM schedule sits in P6 or Microsoft Project. The critical path is technically defined somewhere. Float exists, but only a scheduler can explain it, and the field runs the job off a look-ahead Excel, a whiteboard, and what they heard in the last meeting. The office says that activity has float. The field says, float from what? We're blocked. The result is predictable. Teams prioritize the wrong work, critical path slips quietly, and float becomes an excuse instead of a tool. I don't know about you, but that shouldn't be a normal part of your processes. The best way to visualize float and critical path for the field is translate the CPM into a simple area-based view that highlights what's driving the next milestone, what's at risk, and what decisions need to happen this week, using plain language signals, not CPM jargon. In other words, make it actionable, not academic. Field-friendly visualization starts by anchoring everything to what people actually care about, the next milestone. Instead of asking a superintendent to interpret a 2,000-line CPM file, give them one clear question. What's the chain of work that must happen to hit the next milestone? And where is it fragile? To help with this, try creating a milestone path view, one that includes the sequence of tasks that drive that milestone, highlight the area or phase of work, and the directly responsible individual. This reframes critical path from the red bars into the work we must protect. Float is just time you can spend before you start stealing from the milestone. But 14 days of float doesn't mean anything to a foreman at 6:15 a.m. So make the trending float time visual and intuitive. Ask the question, how fast are we eating float based on what's happening this week? Because the field doesn't need the perfect float number. They need to know, are we safe, at risk, are already in trouble, and what do we need to do to fix it? Most critical path views fail because they show logic, not production. The field thinks in zones, floors, grid lines, sequences, and handoffs. So a field-friendly critical path view should answer, what's critical in my area this week? What's critical next week? What handoff will block the next trade? That's why area-based views matter. Level 2 north is in the red. Level 2 south is in the green. The corridor is burning float. The elevator core is waiting on inspection. With this type of framing, critical path becomes something the field can manage daily, not something they hear about after the fact. Here's the missing link. Float and critical path only matter if they change what we commit to. A weekly planning workflow you can try includes these steps. 1, pull up the milestone path. 2, identify what's critical and what's burning buffer. 3, make commitments that protect that path. 4, surface constraints that threaten it. And 5, adjust sequencing early, not after the milestone slips. This turns float from a scheduler statistic into a crew's decision tool. Outbuild doesn't ask the field to become schedulers. It brings schedule risk to the field in a way they can actually use. It connects the master schedule to phase plans and look-aheads. It ties commitments to the work that drives milestones. It surfaces constraints and risk signals early. And it gives the office and field the same visibility, without drowning everyone in CPM complexity. To me, that's the shift. From critical path is a report to critical path is how we think and talk about the job. If you want a simple, field-friendly way to visualize float and critical path, start here. 1, pick your next milestone and build a milestone path view. 2, track float as a buffer and discuss burn rate, not just numbers. 3, tie weekly commitments directly to milestone path. And 4, review constraints weekly so risks show up early while you still have options. Construction will always have variability, but schedule risk shouldn't be invisible to the people doing the work. When the field can see it, they can protect it.